first time I think I've ever heard that read aloud. And for those of you still awake, thank you for having me here this morning. This is a program that's near and dear to my heart. As you read, if you heard any of that bio, there were some things in there that I want to draw attention to, because Suzanne asked me to kind of focus on the topic of transition. So a lot of things that police officers do, our military veterans have done. And many military veterans come back and serve as police officers, as you probably know. I am blessed to be able to serve as the chief of police now in the city of Lawrence, literally right across the street, where we have almost 100 police officers, either full-time paid officers or reserve officers. And a very large percentage, I don't have the exact number, I should have brought that with me, but a big percentage of them, I'm going to guess maybe 20%, are military veterans. And you've heard, if you've heard the phrase patrol rifle trained officer, which is what, in 2004, my friend Jake Laird was killed on the south side of Indianapolis in a horrible shooting rampage by a mentally deranged individual. And after that, IPD at the time, not IMPD, but IPD implemented a patrol rifle program, and I was one of the first graduates of that. And it struck me at the time that our local United States police officers were having to arm themselves more heavily as our society becomes more and more violent. And our military veterans who come back from service, IPD was at the time about 1,700 officers, and a lot of those young men and women were coming back from military service from various battlefields across the world, and they were having to transition from this mindset of just absolute violence with mines and tanks and rifles and these sandbox theaters, to having to come back to their jobs once their deployments ended and putting on a uniform and being service oriented and being able in the middle of the night to go up and knock on a lady's door and find out who broke into the yet at a moment's notice they might have to pick up that rifle and go to work right here in our community. So a lot of our officers had trouble making that transition, and I totally understand why. Because in their minds, they had experiences and they had memories of extreme, life-threatening situations in war, and then having to come back and be this officer-friendly kind of a person who must also be ready to grab that rifle out of the top of their patrol car in the rack and go to work with it. So one of my assignments, if you heard, was I was out at our training academy. And one of the things that we worked with, we actually established this thing called the Deployed Members Services Unit. So the DPSM when one of our officers with IPD would be deployed, we recognized that that was a tremendous stressor on that officer, that police officer who's now, a Marine or an infantry officer. They go away and they leave behind their families. And their families still have to pay the bills, mow the grass, shovel snow, have daycare, all these things that either dad or sometimes mom were no longer around to do. So with our Deployed Member Services Unit, we would solicit volunteers from all over the police department to basically sign up and be on call for anything that officer's family may need. And that was so well received. Now, I think we're kind of scaling back in our military operations in today's world. So right now, with the Lawrence Police Department, I have 0 police officers who are deployed. So we really don't have that need. It's tough. When I was the commander of the Southwest District, I had several officers who had been deployed, who were now back serving as police officers, and I always met with those guys, and I asked them, how you doing? Is everything going okay? How's your family? Because it is a huge transition coming back from the violence of a battlefield to the peace, relative peace of a community. So to the graduates here today, I want to say congratulations I want to say thank you. I want to encourage all of you to succeed and accept this transition. If you, again, not going back to this certain cure for insomnia, but if you look at this bio, there's a lot of transition there. You know, 3 years with this, grew up, born and raised in Indianapolis, did the IU thing, had a career. I started my career, really did not like being in the corporate world, so I got into police work following my father's footsteps and my grandfather. My grandfather, by the way, was the chief of IPD back in the 60s under Dick Lugar. So from that up to the city of Muncie for 3 years, and then to IPD for 18 years, IMPD. Got to become a Southwest District Commander, as I mentioned, and then this wonderful dream job here in my own backyard where I've lived for 22 years in Lawrence became available, and I applied for it and got it. So there's a lot of transition there. So my experience with transition is that it's very positive. It's an opportunity for growth and development, and it should not be seen as I don't know, any kind of a failure. Overcoming certain obstacles is tremendously important, and preparing yourself for the future. To me, that's what transition's all about. So with all that said, I'll kind of wrap up. I told Suzanne I was going to keep it to 5 to 10 minutes. I think I'm somewhere in that range right now. But I want to thank you guys all, and really on behalf of the Lawrence Police Department, thank you. Not just for your support of me and my officers, but of our entire city. As some of you may know, we are building a brand new police station right just south of here, right across the railroad tracks on Post Road. And if you look at our patch, it says, let's see, I want to make sure I get this right. Established 1929. That's how long the Lawrence Police Department has been in existence, right? So do the math. Next year, that's going to be 90 years of service for this Lawrence Police Department. Now, granted, it probably started out with one back in 1929. I really can't even imagine what it was like to be a law enforcement officer around here. But you know, we have developed, we have transitioned into a professional police department, and we're finally, for the first time ever, we're going to have a police station. We've always been kind of squirreled away and put in different office spaces throughout Lawrence Township and the city of Lawrence. So now we're going to have a police station that we're really excited about. And for that, I think if you're supportive of that, if you're a member of this community, I thank you for that. And on behalf of the men and women of the Lawrence Police Department, thank you for having me. Thank you.